Welcome to today's episode of the Dog Training Dogma with your host, Jonathan Katz. As always, in the studio with me is Hood Rat Heather. Welcome, Heather.
Hello.
So today we are going to be talking about micromanaging our heel. This is a very common mistake that I used to make, is forcing the dog to look at me. Making the requirement that the dog has to stare at me. It's a lot of work micromanaging that. And the main issue that I always had with it was when you step on the field and you can't micromanage, the behavior deteriorates. Even if it only deteriorates a little bit, the fundamental concept, the fact that the dog is getting away with a behavior, even if it's a micro behavior, but they're getting away with the behavior, like just glancing away and not getting any reinforcement, loosens the dog up, makes them feel freer. When the dog comes on the field and the dog doesn't get that constant reinforcement, the behavior deteriorates. We have to understand, bottom line, if we train at 100%, there's going to be some drop-off. There's going to be a certain percentage of drop-off. It's never going to be perfect. Like, you can't get 100. Only God gets 100. So, if we force the dog to look at us, when the force goes away, the potential that the dog's going to play more. Every time in my career I encountered an issue with my communication, with the way that I was teaching things, the way that I was reinforcing things, whenever what I was doing wasn't working, I always turned to Missy Elliott. And I said, "What did Missy Elliott say?" She said, "Put the thing down, flip it, and reverse it." Which basically means do the opposite. What if we just did the opposite? So my system Opernize requires zero micromanagement of our attention. We never force the dog to look at us. Now, we can require position. If the dog at some point in our training, drops their head and looks away, we can move away from them and we can use, negative reinforcement or positive punishment for not being next to us, but I never force the dog to look at me. I want the dog to look at me, looking at me being a reward. Now, this is going to make your scores better because I literally had a student of mine today, trialed this past weekend, and the message I got was Opernize really works. The dog loves staring at us. The dog that I figured Opernize out with, I did a lot of experimentation with Cougar, but the dog I truly figured out with was Puma. And I have a picture from the year that I won national champion of me standing at the start cone, her in her muzzle, and me looking down at her. And I always ask the students, "What's this a picture of?" And they're like, "You looking at your dog?" And I go, "Think deeper." It's me rewarding my dog. So if we understand the concept of negative punishment, the removal of a positive stimulus, a desirable stimulus to decrease or increase the likelihood of a behavior, if I've taught my healing properly, when I don't look at the dog should be staring at me going, "Please look at me. Just look at me. Please look at me. Look at me." I'm at the start cone and I'm staring down at her. I am technically rewarding her on the field. Because if I look down at her in behavior, like in my routine, I'm going to lose points for handler help. Now, let's fast forward to the threes. With Uzi, every time he would look away or lose position and I'm in trial, I'd go, "Heel, Cinnamon! Heel, Cinnamon!" I'm constantly giving out commands. With zero reinforcement. Now, let's cut to with training my attention properly. When I'm in the threes and the shit starts getting really tough, all I have to do is just look down at my dog. But I'm not going to say a word. When I get to the critique, what's the judge going to say? Well, he looked down at the dog a little bit, but, under the circumstances, I took off a half a point. Versus every time I'm giving out an extra command, -1. When I stopped micromanaging my heel, my scores went up. Because when I'm in trial and I'm not looking at the dog, it actually is negative punishment to build a behavior. I'm withholding my eyes from that dog because I've given meaning to my eyes. Think about being in a relationship with a person that every time you look away, they jab you, they pop you, they pull you by the collar. As opposed to every time you look at someone, you get a smile. You get, flash the micro expression of happiness, of love, of welcoming. Think about the idea that you want the dog to want to be next to you. All I want the dog to do is stare into my soul, because that's part of our bond. Eye contact. Eye contact is part of a bond. The eyes are the gateway to the soul, while my eyes and your eyes are the gateway to each other's souls. How do you truly create a positive, healthy relationship with your dog? That you can take them out on the field and they'll do all these crazy things with no reinforcement. It's a lot. If it was easier, there'd be more than 51 dogs in the world. That's just a fact. It's a statistic. If we force the dog to look at us, when the force goes away, the behavior is going to go away. Even if the behavior doesn't go all the way away, it's going to deteriorate. The eyes are going to shift. I fundamentally, when my dogs are in stays in front of a decoy, let's say I'm training my dog for the ones. My dog is in a stay in front of the decoy's done their can curtains, I will not go back and reward the dog for that stay, pay the stay. I will not go back and reward that dog unless they're looking at me. So I go out, I turn around, I look at the dog, return to your dog, go back and pay the dog. As I'm walking in, if the dog goes and looks back at the decoy, I'm going to stop. I'm going to withhold myself because myself equals reward and myself delivers reward. If I do this, if I condition this response, the dog never looks at the decoy. The dog never even acknowledges that the decoy exists because they've never gotten a reward from the decoy. The decoy has never given them anything. The decoy is just a distraction in that environment. Now, I'm in the threes and it's going to be a decoy, dropped or a decoy thrown retrieve. In that context, I want my dog to look at the decoy, but I can give a hand signal. I can point. I can tell them to look there because of the complexity of that behavior. How do we heel around and not say anything to the dog? I get people come to my seminars all the time. Again, which the context is a seminar. We don't train together on a regular basis. And I see people and they're basically constantly forcing the dog to look up. And I go, look, try this for me. If it doesn't work, call me an asshole. But just try it. Walk around. Don't say anything. Let the dog look around. They have to be next to you. Position is a requirement. Position is basically a loose leash heel. I want you by my side. That's a requirement. You're just going to walk around. You're just going to keep walking. The dog's going to get nothing. And you're just going to keep walking. You're going to keep walking. As you're walking, as the dog looks up, mark and pay them. Dog will only do what's in their own best interest. So if it's in their own best interest to want to play And the only way they're going to get that is to look up. As the session progresses, as the dog starts looking at you harder and harder, but out of their own free will, not out of force. We're not trying to create Stockholm syndrome. We're actually trying to create a bond and a relationship. Don't force the dog to love you. Encourage the dog to love you. Where does love come from? Love. It's an anthropomorphic term. Okay. It's a term that we use to relate to our bond with the dog. Come up with another term. It could be any term. I like the term love because it makes sense to me. I love my dog, and I want my dog to love me. If that dog stares daggers into my soul, it means that they have love for me. They have eyes for me. That's why I called my system Opernize, because I want the dog to operantly offer me attention, and that's how they're going to get rewarded. Otherwise, they're not going to get rewarded. Now, as a puppy, when they're young, I lure and I teach them how to keep their head up, and I teach them the position, body, everything, turns, and all that stuff through luring. But in luring, they can't stare into my eyes because my hand's right there. Once I remove the lure, and that's why it's important to remove the lure as quickly as we possibly can, because I want the dog to actually look up at me. Can you have, with anyone in your life, can you have a nonverbal conversation? Can you tell your friend that it's time to leave the party with your eyes? If you can't, you don't have a strong enough relationship with that person to be able to communicate on a nonverbal level. Well, dogs are nonverbal. So strive to have that relationship with the dog. One of the things that helps our relationship with our dog is our husbandry and our management of pain, which segues me into our sponsor for the episode today is Indy Raw and their cutting edge canine CBD. I have been using this stuff for years now. I want to say since like 2015 or 16. So about 10 years. And, when I was losing my pit bull Snoopy to bone cancer, I didn't really love what all of that Remedil and all of those pain medications did to his body. And at the time we didn't have, I didn't know about this. I had tried a few of them. I used to give him like some CBD treats and they helped. But once my friend Andy, showed me this cutting edge CBD, this stuff is phenomenal. I use this for, you can use it for thunderstorms. You can use it for pain management. If you have females that are intact, I use it for cramps. It's odorless and tasteless. The dogs actually like it. Whereas I've had other ones where you go to give it to them, they're like, I don't really like this taste. They actually really like this. All it does is just mellow them out, calm them down. This is the only product that I've seen on the market that actually works, that works to its full extent. I've seen some benefits from other companies, but this one is the best. And this is the one that this is the product that I live by. I literally purchase it in these huge bottles because I'd rather have it and, not need it. But the dog, sprain their ankle or something. Again, this is not veterinary advice. This is just, this is herbal medication that can definitely help our dogs relax, help our dogs recover. I find that it's something that I can keep as part of my toolbox that can make my dogs feel better, which to me goes towards our relationship. Part of my love and care for the dog is that I don't want them to be in pain. I don't want them to feel uncomfortable. If you look at a female in heat, you see her stomach, you can actively see her having cramps. And as an empath, it hurts me. I don't want her to have those cramps. I give her a little bit of cutting edge CBD, and she's relaxed. She's not feeling any discomfort, and this stuff is phenomenal. I think he has it, professionally made in California. It's made with like real product, and it's such a phenomenal, tool to have to just help our dogs and our relationship. And I swear by this stuff. They actually sent us, Indy Raw sent us a bottle. This is of their canine hemp. This is their 500 milligram bottle, and we're going to do this as a giveaway. We are going to give it to the person that can tell us, where did we find our Dogma property? What website did you find? Did Heather, it was Hoodrat Heather that found this property. This is my dream property. This is my favorite place on earth. I love this place so much.
It's amazing.
And so tell us the website that we found the property, and we will ship you a bottle of cutting edge canine hemp isolate.
That's a tough question.
That's a tough question. I'm not going to give it away easily, right? If you're going to win this, you gotta work hard for it, right? Phenomenal product. I highly recommend it. Definitely hit up Andy and tell us that we sent you, and he'll take good care of you. And I guarantee you that your pet will thank you for it. When we force our dogs to stare at us, they don't always want to stare at us. When have anything in life that you've been forced, not forced yourself to, like growing up, always wanting to be a chef, but having some food phobias? Growing up, I didn't like mushrooms. It was fungus. It's weird to me. I forced myself to like them, and I taught myself to like them. One of my greatest pleasures is when I'm cooking for someone and I ask them like, oh, any food allergies? And they're like, well, I don't have any food allergies, but, I don't like Brussels sprouts. And I'm like, I am going to cook you some Brussels sprouts, and I guarantee you'll like them. I've had a lot of people who are like, I don't like mushrooms. You're not allergic. You just don't like the taste. Perfect. I am going to chop these mushrooms up so fine, and we're going to mix it in. And then I'm going to ask you how you like it. Oh my God, this is delicious. It has mushrooms in it, and we can slowly desensitize. I've tried everything to like olives. I don't like olives. I like olive products. I like olive oil. Olive oil is amazing, but for some reason I just couldn't. I've had some of the best olives in the world. I don't like it. I can't force myself to like it. We don't want to force the dog to love us. We want the dog to actually love us. I want my dog to stare at me. I want my dog to stare at me so hard that it actually makes me look at them. It's like from staring at someone across the room, can they feel your eyes on them? You should be healing while looking forward, because full points is us looking forward. And we should be able to feel the dog staring at us. Once I went from my micromanagement, which got me anywhere from, a 14 to a 17, maybe 18 in healing, to strictly doing opernize, to 20 out of 20s in healing. In the PDC and ones. Okay, now in the twos, maybe 19. In the threes, 18 and a half. We're only going down half points. We're only going down a little bit, but we're also taking into account the level of distraction that's out there. But also, healing is not only 20 points. In our PSA 1, healing is 20 points on leash. Healing is 20 points off leash. But before that, the figure 8 is healing. The halt is healing. The down is not healing. The reset is healing. All of your turns are healing. Your fast, slow, and normal is healing. Your gunshots is healing. Like, it's basically 67, 68 points of healing. So would you not say that all of that operant tension that you've created has bled into all those other point structures? But even when my dog is in a stay, I want that dog in a stay staring at me. Because the only way that I'm going to go back and pay them is if they're looking at me. So you want a challenge? Add this into your training. Try it. If it doesn't work, call me up and tell me I'm an asshole. I'll take it. But we'll talk about it. Because to me, as I leave the dog should be staring at me, not at the decoy. When I go back to pay the dog, I'm only going to go back and pay the dog if the dog's staring at me. So I'll go out, I'll turn around, and I'll just stand there. When the dog stops looking at the decoy and looks at me, I'll start walking in because I am going to room service them their toy all the way back to them, pay the stay. If at any moment I'm coming in, the dog looks away, looks back at the decoy, looks anywhere else other than me, I'm going to stop. And I'm going to use my negative punishment properly to actually create that relationship with the dog that you want to stare at me because that's the only way you'll get paid. Every time you're not looking at me, you're just extending your time of getting of payment. Why would the dog extend their time? They want you to reward them as quickly as possible. So it's their own destiny. They get to create that relationship of the quicker that you stare at me, the longer you stare at me, the quicker you're going to be rewarded. This is my challenge to you as dog trainers. Don't force the dog to love you. Encourage the dog to love you. Don't force the dog to stare at you. Don't micromanage your heel. Encourage the dog to want to actually give you proper attention, because as someone that's done it 2 or 3 times, believe you me, having that extra bond and relationship with the dog is going to make putting a 3 on that dog so much easier. It's a very difficult thing to do. It's a very stressful thing to do. But if you love your dog and you have a good relationship with the dog, it makes it so much easier. Even though Uzi and I fought a lot, I still had an amazing relationship with that dog. Could it have been a better relationship? 100%. But you don't know what you don't know until you know it. Cougar got better. Puma got better. Cheetah got better. My goal is how little force can I use to actually title this dog? But again, the key word is how little of force. Can't use no force. Can't use no control. You have to have balance. You have to have harmony. I'm using the e-collar way less than I used to in the past. I don't need it as much anymore because I'm doing that much more work communicating. I'm using that much more positive reinforcement and negative punishment. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you, and look forward to seeing you on the next episode.